Welcome to SVG-TV's news for Wednesday, June 1st, 2022. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. A tropical wave is inching closer to the island chain as the hurricane season officially begins. In its 72-hour outlook, the SVG Met Office said from tonight into Friday, the wave and its associated instability are expected to dominate the weather pattern across SVG. The outlook said since most of the shower activity is forecast to be behind the wave axis, shower activity may become more intense as the week progresses, with a possibility of isolated thunderstorms. It said by Friday there will be a gentle to moderate easterly flow of 10 kilometers to 30 kilometers per hour, moving along the island chain, becoming mostly east-southeasterly. The seas will be a slight to moderately rough in open waters, with swells peaking at 1 meter on the west coast and 2 meters on the east coast. Additionally, there will be no significant haze intrusion during the forecast for this period. Today, June 1st, is officially the start of the 2022 Atlantic hurricane season, and predictions are that this will be an active season. Information from the National Hurricane, Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the NAA, states that there are expected to be 14 to 21 named storms and 6 to 10 hurricanes. Out of this list, 4 are predicted to be major hurricanes, which could be Category 3, 4, or 5. Prime Minister Dr. Al Gonsalves delivered an address to mark the start of the season, saying he is keeping his fingers crossed that SVG will not experience any major hurricane this year. He explains that the ministries and disaster management agencies are preparing for the worst-case scenario, and most of the focus is being placed on the vulnerable communities in the red and orange zones. 2 Bailey bridges acquired from the St. Lucian government are expected to be ejected at the Noel and Overland crossings, and also the 27 houses built in the Orange Hill area are to be handed over to Sandy Bay residents shortly. Prime Minister Gonsalves also says a money payment system is to be implemented where 400 families are to receive bank cards to draw payments ranging from $300 to $800. He says the biggest concern for the disaster management officials is that heavy rains will move ash and other debris from the 2021 volcanic eruption into communities in the red and orange zone and cause major destruction.
The increase in frequency and the severity of the storms and hurricanes is as a result of climate change, man-made climate change. A lot of people don't take this seriously, particularly people in the developed world and in other countries, emerging economies, which are contributing so much to global warming. I began this broadcast by saying the drought which we're experiencing is a problem for us, not only because it's a drought, but it means that you haven't been having rains to wash off bit by bit the ash on the slopes. So you still have a lot there. So when we get heavy rainfall, as we will get heavy rainfall this season, you're likely to have lahars. And that's a big problem. And we have to watch for that. Remember, Professor Robertson had told us that we'll have 3, 4, 5 years perhaps of lahars because of material which is on the slopes.
The Prime Minister is urging Vincentians to stay tuned to reputable media sources for information and make a plan in the event of a serious weather system makes landfall.
Making a plan. Make your plan. Look, if you know you have to go by a friend or family, sort it out with your friend or family that if something is happening, I'll come by you. If not, know where the shelter is. The shelter lists are published. Usually a school teacher or some community person would be in charge of the shelter. Invariably, it's a school or a church or a community center of something, or something of the sort. And get to the center early once you have the information. Don't wait until the storm comes upon you for you to leave your house, particularly if your house is not safe. So you have to plan.
The Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment hopes that this year's Nutrition Awareness Week will act as a wake-up call for all Vincentians to take their health more seriously. In a statement to mark Caribbean Nutrition Awareness Day, celebrated annually on June 1st, and Nutrition Awareness Week, Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment Sinclair Prince is reminding Vincentians that good nutrition and frequent exercise are two pillars of their primary health care, noting that their health is a shared responsibility.
Good nutrition and physical activity are needed throughout the life cycle in order to prevent or reverse the adverse effects of poor lifestyle behaviors. It should be a high priority in every household and every setting in which food is provided for groups of people or offered for sale. By definition, physical inactivity is the failure to accumulate at least 150 minutes of moderate physical activity. According to the World Health Organization, it is the fourth greatest risk factor for mortality globally, which attributes to 4 to 5 million preventable deaths per year. In addition, lack of physical activity can affect one's physical and mental well-being by increasing the risk of common non-communicable diseases, poor blood circulation, weight gain, and inflammation in the body. It also increases stress, anxiety, and depression.
Nutrition Week 2022 aims to promote healthy living and good eating using the National Food-Based Dietary Guidelines, with a focus on Guideline 7, Get Moving, enjoying 30 minutes or more of physical activity. It also focuses its attention on health risk of bad lifestyle and educating the general public on ways to reduce the risk of non-communicable diseases through physical activity and healthy eating. Emphasizing the importance of adding physical activities in one's daily routine, Minister Prince said that the nutrition unit in the ministry is encouraging all Vincentians to start or advance their physical activities.
As part of its mandate in working along with the Ministry of Health to make St. Vincent and the Grenadines a healthier nation, the Division of Sport and Physical Activity has embarked on several initiatives. Exercise sessions have been termed active lifestyle sessions that are open and free of cost to the general public, have recommenced at various venues, including the Kingstown Central Market, the Daphne Community Center, and the Park Hill Playing Field, and the Central Leeward Secondary School. For persons who may prefer an early morning workout, there are active lifestyle sessions held on the Zoom online platform. Bust a Sweat is an event that is held in different communities, where residents are encouraged to come out and participate in different sporting activities. There are 4 of these events planned for the balance of the year. In South Rivers on May 21st, in Richland Park on June 18th, in Beckway on September 17th, and in Layu on December 10th.
And local health officials say cases of non-communicable diseases, or NCDs, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are on the rise, particularly hypertension, diabetes, and childhood obesity. Chief Nutritionist Nicole France told SVG-TV News that the Ministry of Health and Wellness is especially concerned about cases of childhood obesity, as this places the young ones at a greater risk to develop other illnesses as they get older. France spoke to our news team at the ministry's health fair held in Kingstown today to mark a Caribbean Nutrition Day and Nutrition Awareness Week, which runs from June 14th to June 19th.
Increasing, especially coming out of COVID, especially childhood obesity, it's increasing at a rapid rate. So we need to cut that. We need to curb that right now, because children who grow up, who start off as obese, when they get older in life is when they have cancer. They put themselves at risk for cancer, they put themselves at risk for hypertension, diabetes. So we need to curb it now. So we really have to push exercise. It's very important, but there is an increasing trend in all the, what you just mentioned, diabetes, hypertension, and childhood obesity.
France said the focus of the health fair and the week of activities is to get Vincentians to engage in more active lifestyles.
COVID, we have called it basically a sedentary period, where everybody was at home working, children were at home going to school, everybody was home sitting down. So what we're trying to do is get the public to come back out, get on their feet, get moving, get active. It's very important. A sedentary lifestyle can lead to a host of diseases, cardiovascular diseases, even diabetes, hypertension, obesity. Because if we're home, we're eating all the wrong things, all the junk food we're eating, all right? And by not moving around, we don't burn off the excess calories, we pack it on. So we're trying to get persons to come back out. As the song is saying, play your part, just get moving.
One participant in the health fair is encouraging Vincentians, especially men, to take their health, make their health a priority and to get screened regularly.
I had checked my sugar and I have been grateful and thankful for them, because when I left home I couldn't get a chance to check it, and now I'm checking it here. My blood pressure is telling me that it's normal because it's 135/82, and the guy who checked it said it wasn't too bad. As they normally say, men for a doctor, I myself for an injection, but because of my life and my health wise, I accept and intend to take it. I'm just going to know how my status is. So I'm very happy about it, and I appreciate it, and I hope others out there can take heed and come in and get their sugar and their pressure checked, so they can know how to treat their lifestyle when it comes to eating.
As part of the activities for Nutrition Awareness Week, a health caravan will make stops from Kingstown to Georgetown to engage community members in exercise sessions. Caribbean Nutrition Awareness Week is celebrated under the theme Healthy Eating, Active Living with the motto Play Your Part. Everyone make a start. Let's get moving. World No Tobacco Day was observed on Tuesday, May 31st, 2022 under the theme Tobacco, a Threat to Our Environment, and it seeks to raise awareness among the public about the negative environmental impacts of tobacco. According to World Health Organization, WHO, tobacco kills over 8 million people every year and destroys the environment, further harming human health through the cultivation, production, distribution, consumption, and post-consumer waste. Speaking on the harmful impact of the secondhand smoke and lung cancer, Dr. Arlette Tannis is urging tobacco smokers to smoke if they want, but think of the negative impact that they are causing to other persons' lives. She said that persons who receive secondhand smoking has a much more negative impact than the first-hand smoker.
Of cancer of the lungs. It has been proven that at least 50% of the person with cancer of the lungs receive secondhand smoke and not direct smoke that impacted and caused them to have the cancer. So one of the things that's been they try to have a positive effect, because now you will see most of the bodegas, they are not advertising tobacco again because of that element that the patient receives. Having cancer, even though they never smoked, they had some form of secondhand smoking. I know that most of the persons I've met, patients, friends and relatives who have had cancer of the lungs, were all secondhand smoke and not directly smoking. This is why we are emphasizing that it is not how you smoke, it's where you smoke and the effect it have on those persons who have never smoked, but they end up being the receiver of the negative receiver, having that cancer, and not the person that has smoked.
Public health nurse Sister Shelly-Ann Alexander Ross said that smoking tobacco is not just an individual issue, but public health issue on the population and the environment.
It's not an individual issue. It's beyond that. It's not, okay, I like to smoke and I just smoke. Because we have to think about the persons who are around us, who can get sick from that toxic substance that you smoke. And when this happens, not you going to be affected, or You have to think of what the several persons around and how it's going to impact families and communities. So it's a public health issue.
In other news now, St. Vincent and the Grenadines has recorded another COVID-19 death. The latest update from the Ministry of Health said on Tuesday, May 24th, 2022, a 70-year-old female with underlying conditions was diagnosed with COVID-19 and admitted to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital COVID-19 ward. She died of COVID-19 pneumonia on Thursday, May 30th, 2022. She was unvaccinated, and the island's death toll from COVID-19 now stands at 108. As of Tuesday, March 31st, there are 127 active COVID-19 cases in the country with 4 hospitalizations. The ministry said to date, 71,004 vaccines against COVID-19 have been administered. Of this number, 36,573 are first doses, while 30,654 are second doses, and 3,777 are boosters. June 1st is commemorated annually as Indian Arrival Day here in SVG. In March of 2006, after formation of the Indian Heritage Foundation, then Minister of Culture Rene Batiste piloted a bill through Parliament to allow for the recognition of the Indian Arrival Day. As part of the celebrations today, Tuesday, June 1st, 2022, a reenactment of the arrival of Indians over a century ago was held at Indian Bay Beach. We hear more on the activity in this report by Nicole Ballantyne.
A 2-year hiatus, the Indian Heritage Foundation today hosted a reenactment at Indian Bay to commemorate Indian Arrival Day, which marks the arrival of Indians to SVG over 160 years ago. President of the foundation, Junior Bacchus, shared a brief but detailed history on the importance of celebrating Indian Arrival Day in SVG.
We are here because 161 years ago, the Indians were forced in some respect to leave Madras and join the Travancore, about 258 of them, to journey for almost 3.5 months, landed in Edinburgh here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They didn't land at Indian Bay. Let me make sure you recognize that. They landed at Edinburgh where they were documented, and the register is still available to us with all the names. That's why we have the information that was shared. And they were taken to several estates across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So today we are recognizing the importance of that journey and the presence of the Indian community here. Over 7 other voyages, we were able to bring in just over 2,500 Indians who came here on those 8 voyages out of Madras and Calcutta to work on the various estates.
As he welcomed the presence of first-time participants, Bacchus noted that the foundation has and always will continue to be non-partisan, so it was important to have representatives from both political parties present.
The Indian Heritage Foundation always have government and opposition supporting our activities. We are non-partisan, and that's why I was pleased to have the Prime Minister and leader of the opposition have their both representatives joining us here today.
The government was represented by MP for South Windward Frederick Stevenson, while the opposition was represented by MP for East Kingston Fitzgerald Bramble. The MPs, along with the former Minister of Culture Rene Batiste, shared how important the day is to St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Over the years, the Indian community has been an integral part of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, developing and building this beautiful nation that we call home. A few weeks ago, just last week, 2 weeks ago, we had the President of India and his delegation visit St. Vincent and the Grenadines. All of that is part of what we are celebrating as Indian Arrival Day here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That is just happy that St. Vincent and the Grenadines was chosen as part of his visit to the Caribbean region.
The importance of Indians arriving here
over 161 years ago, on June the 1st, 1861, cannot be overemphasized, particularly because of the connection and the similarity between that reality and the reality of the majority of Vincentians who are of African heritage.
It's always an emotional day, because if you are so closely connected to your heritage, walking down this pathway and standing at the beachfront, something must touch you. You must somehow feel the recollection in your head, the connection by blood of the people who took that journey. And to know they were coming to a place that they don't know anything about, 3.5 months through hurricane, through the Atlantic Ocean, and arriving here. But here you are today, descendants and inheritors of those brave people.
Although Indians only relatively make up a small fraction of the population of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they have and continue to play a significant role in the development of the island. Reporting for SVG-TV News, I am Nicole Ballantyne.
After a 2-year hiatus, stakeholders in the fisheries sector will celebrate Fisherman's Day on Monday, June 6th. The launch of the event was held today at the Kingston Fisheries Complex, where Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries Sabota Caesar said this year's activity will be scaled back on the advice of the Ministry of Health to ensure the event adheres to the COVID-19 protocols. Despite these changes, Minister Caesar encourages all fisherfolk to support the celebrations.
We held a National Fisherman's Day activity was in 2019, and as we are well aware, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we were advised by the Ministry of Health to avoid such gatherings. I am happy to work with the stakeholders in the fisheries sector. We held several meetings over the past 2 weeks with the fisher folk, the exporters, persons who are involved in preparing fish for sale, whether it is at the supermarket level, at the level of the restaurants. And we are all excited to know that next Monday we will be able to host this activity. The fishermen would be registered over the next few days. I know that some persons came to the ministry already, and they are in contact with the Chief Fisheries Officer to get their registration forms. You will be hearing ads on the radio, and of course it is something that we have been doing for many years, so you know the routine. I want to encourage persons to participate.
Chief Fisheries Officer Jennifer Cruikshank-Howard says this year the focus will be placed on the invaluable contributions small fishers and producers have made to the industry.
The year 2022 is the International Year of Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture, and the celebration this year we have to take the artisanal fishers into consideration. Celebrating the invaluable contribution of the small-scale aquatic food harvesters and producers. This is in regards to the Sustainable Development Goals, food and nutrition security, livelihoods and poverty reduction, and way of life, culture and tradition. The small-scale fisheries are critical to the Caribbean livelihood and to the sustainable development of the industry. Hence, this year, our fishers will be recognized for their contribution that they are making to the development of the industry and for food and nutrition security.
Next week's event will mark the 45th anniversary of Fisherman's Day. A representative of the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, ICA, to the Eastern Caribbean states, Greg Rollins, visited SVG recently to identify some of the needs in the country in the area of agriculture. He also used the visit to meet with various organizations and stakeholders, interest groups in the country with whom ECO works, with the objective of building relationships and exploring additional opportunity for technical cooperation that rebound to benefit of the agriculture sector and rural communities.
So that this visit really allowed us to be able to meet, to engage, and to be able to get a good feel as to how we would want to tailor our programs, tailor our projects so that they respond to the needs of those both in the public and the private sectors who we work with. As you would recognize, the visit also comes at a time when globally and within the region, the issue of food security is being assigned very high priority, given developments in relation to the Ukraine-Russia conflict, which has caused some prices to increase. We have increasing prices of energy products, we have increasing prices of some food products, and increasing prices of some inputs into agriculture.
The ECA representative spoke of projects in SVG the organization has partnered with over the years that have helped with food security.
The whole issue of food security is now high on the agenda. You would have had the CARICOM heads of government committing to reducing the food import bill by 25% by 2025. We recently had the Guyana Agro Investment Forum and Expo being held to try to stimulate further interest in investment in the agricultural sector in an effort to achieve food security in the region. So within this context, ECA, as the Hemisphere institution, specialized institution for agriculture and rural development, we recognize that we have to continue playing a very important role in helping the member states across the hemisphere, including here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, achieve food security by building a very competitive, a very sustainable, and a resilient agricultural sector. We've been doing so by working closely with our partners, and we have a number of projects on the ground here supported by partners such as the Canadian government, the Australian government, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and others, helping to work with farmer groups, strengthen their capacity to be able to address the whole issue of increasing productivity and increasing production in the field.
The ECA representative also held discussions with the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries, Rural Transformation, on Industry and Labor, Sabota Caesar, Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kisal Peters, with the senior administrators, officials for both the ministries, and representatives from several other public and other private sector organizations, including farmers' organizations from across the country. The Carnival Development Corporation, CDC, today announced the finalists for the 2022 Junior Calypso and Soca competition scheduled for Tuesday, June 28th at the Victoria Park. The finalists in the primary school category for the Junior Calypso competition are Lejeune Hazelwood of the Lodge Village Government School with the song Dear Teacher, Crystal Warren of Calder Government, Gar Funas, Denise Davis, also of Calder Government, with Break the Cycle, Nala Nero of Greg's Primary with Russian Fire, Samara Jack of the Lodge Village Government with Why Target Us, Kalisa Providence of the Lodge Village Government School with Focus, Desiree Williams of the Kingstown Anglican School with Stay Focus, Agini Caesar of the C.W. Prescott Primary with Proud Heritage, and Divine Walters of the Sandy Bay Government School with Red Zone. The secondary school finalists are Kalik Lewis of the St. Martin's Secondary with the song Royalty, Melissa Batiste of the Sandy Bay Secondary with Well Done, but Bradley Sutherland of the Sandy Bay Secondary School with A Helping Hand, Deshanti Francis of the J.P. Eustace Secondary School with Leave Me, Lets Me Grow, Omani Cupid of the Emmanuel Mesopotamia with No Chatelier, Christina Christopher of the St. Vincent Grammar School with Cherish Life, Shanae Stevens of the Girls High School with a heavy heart. Felicia McCoy of the Sandy Bay Secondary School with taking warning. The junior Socomonac finalists are Dino Nero of the Sandy Bay Secondary School with swiggy, Dejo Tibbles of the Central Leeward Secondary with menu, Nicole Matthew and Jacali Sandy of the J.P. Eustace Memorial with Together Now. DeAndre Simmons of the St. Martin's Secondary with We Back on Track. Joanna Matthias of the Greg's Primary with Mask Up. Nala Nero of the Greg's Primary with Color Fets. Christelle Warren of the Collar Government with Do Post-it. Deshanti Francis of the J.P. Eustace Memorial with Bashment City. In other news, residents in Edinburgh are questioning the circumstances that led to the death of 46-year-old Calvin Jordan. The resident of Oya was discovered in the steps of a Speedy shop in Edinburgh this morning with an injury to his forehead. The shop owner told SVG-TV News she did hear anything altercation that could have led to Jordan's death. She said neighbors informed her that he was lying on the step bleeding, after which police were called to the scene. Residents say Jordan frequented the shop, but he was not known to many persons in Edinburgh area, and they say Jordan sometimes visited a female in the community. The police say investigations are being carried out into the circumstances surrounding Jordan's death, which brings the country's homicide count to 20 for this year so far.